uses intellect, the power of logic and analysis to bring about a cognition and transformation, to understand the total dimension of our existence, to understand the holistic perspectives of this whole creation, to understand that we are not just this physical body, but we are made of 4 more layers of consciousness. Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. And beyond all these 5 koshas, which are ever changing, there is something that is unchanging. That is our original home. That is the home of all of us. That is the whole essence of our Upanishadic teaching. That is the knowledge base for which India is known the world over. And the secret of this creation, that everything starts from Anandamaya Kosha. And as it consolidates and constitutes itself, it becomes Vijnanamaya Kosha. Then it creates the Manomaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, then Annamaya Kosha. The 4 layers are unseen, the subtle and the causal states. What is seen is only the physical body, Annamaya Kosha. Just as we have vapor, when it becomes drops of rainwater, then we start seeing them. How does that happen? The vast field of vapor, when it condenses, it becomes drops of water. And it's a reversible process. When you go on heating this water, its temperature goes on increasing. When it reaches 100 degrees centigrade, it absorbs the latent heat and starts moving up, starts becoming invisible. In the same way, this world, this Srishti, is a condensation of that which is unseen, becoming the seen. That we see is only the physical body. The other layers for existence we don't see. That is the whole teaching of the Upanishads. But since it is not seen, we think we are only this physical body. Modern science, modern medical world have continuously been trying to understand this physical body, the physical world, its grace-based excellence. For 400 years, we have understood almost everything about the physical world in modern science. We know that every object is made out of molecules, atoms made of protons, neutrons, electrons. And what are they made of? They're all made of packets of energy called quarks. And you can precisely calculate how much of energy is in given matter. Tremendous amount of energy packed into so-called inert matter. We also understand the laws that govern them. The classical mechanics governed by the Newton's laws of motion, and the quantum mechanics giving the laws of the subtle dimensions of the universe, fundamental particles, and so on. All that modern science has fathomed, making this as a base modern medical world also has cracked almost everything in the physical body. You know how the body is made out of cells, forming the tissues forming the organs, and the organs selling themselves into systems, and how the cells are made up. Basically, the DNA and RNA, the genes, the DNA and the RNA. And what are they made of? DNA and RNA. Very complex molecular structures. They are again made out of the atoms. So the entire physical body is nothing but the construct of the atoms and the molecules and the genes and the cells and the organs and the system. This is how we study today our body structure. And then how it functions in the physiology we study. And that we have different diseases, how there is distortion in the functioning. Either it is working more, or it is working less, or working it in a wrong direction. Immune system, for example. If it starts getting confused and thinks that insulin is an enemy, we get into autoimmunity called diabetes. On the other hand, if the immune system gets confused and thinks that the enemy is a friend, the cancer cells are allowed to grow in the body, you have tumors and malignancy setting up in cancer. So every distortion and imbalance in the system functioning causes the problem. These functional imbalances will percolate down and further crystallizes in the form of diseases. When we have a tumor, then we understand, yes, there is some big problem. When you start losing memory, you understand probably there is some tumor in the brain. Then you go to the doctors. And the technological advancement has been able to give us tremendous amount of surgical tools. You can replace almost every part of the body. There are 5,000 different surgeries today available. You can replace almost every part of the body. Now we are hastening to go further to replace even the genes, to change the gene structure itself. Gene therapy. Such is a fantastic growth that we have been able to make in the modern world, looking at man as a physical being, looking at man as a robot, looking at man as a conglomeration of atoms, molecules, the DNA, RNA molecules and the cells and the organs and the systems, and the whole body governed by a supercomputer here. All that we have been able to do, probably unparalleled in the whole history of the human system. But we have not tracked what is beyond the physical. We don't believe there is something like prana, apart from functioning of the DNA, RNA molecules. Today in the modern medical world, we don't believe there is something like a mind, which is nothing but functioning of the brain cells. We don't recognize something like an intellect and believe that it is functioning of the left brain. We have located centers in our brain, knocking which your emotional dimensions can be belittled, can be benumbed. And therefore we believe that emotions are also the functioning of the special emotional centers in the brain. And therefore everything is nothing but construct of the mind, construct of the physical body, the brain. Therefore there is nothing like prana, nothing like mind, nothing like emotions, there is nothing like intellect, apart from the physical body. Mind has no existence of its own, nor is prana or intellect or consciousness. Everything is nothing but offshoot of matter, offshoot of atoms and molecules, fundamental particles. This is the mindset with which the medical world has been progressing. But however, last 40 years has been a transition. Moving from from the physical Annamaya Kosha towards things which are beyond the physical. More and more scientists, more and more medical experts have started thinking that there should be something apart from this physical body. I am not just a robot. I have an intelligence. And what is that which I call as intellect, which has a freedom? That intellect by which you can do or undo or do it in a different way. Kartum, akartum, anitha kartum shaktaha. What is that we call as the intellect? Can we see a perennial existence of mind, a perennial existence of intellect, that which is having its own existence? That is into which now science is progressing. But in our country, thousands of years back, our ancient seers did this experiment. They also at one time believed, yes, the whole life is nothing but the physical body and its enjoyment. And that is Charvaka philosophy. They said there is nothing apart from this body. And when we die, it is the end. What is the objective of life? Is to enjoy life. So enjoy life. For that you need money. So if you can earn the money in the right royal way, do that. If you can't, it doesn't matter. Hook or crook, you make the money. If nothing works, take loans, plenty of loans, and be intelligent, be shrewd enough. And once you die, who is going to ask you? Aspiration. Runam krutva buddham pibet. That was the initial growth in our country also. And that's where the Western science thinks today. Doesn't matter how you make the money today. You want to become a billionaire, that's the end of the life. There is nothing apart from that. But we are getting the hit of that, the economic-based approach, or the health hazards. You have all the money of the world, your health is shattered. You have to take every day 25 pills, 30 pills every day. And you have surgeries after surgeries. We have started realizing that there is something wrong in this approach, in this matter-based paradigm. It's here that we are moving towards our Indian dimension. In our country, as we started with the Charvaka, then we started raising higher. No, there is something beyond the physical body. And they found there is a process of rebirth, Punarjanma. And there is a continuity in creation. We take birth, we die, again we take birth, we die. This goes on and on and on. Janma Mrityu goes on. And that's so with not only the physical body, but every object that we have. Anything that's born has to take the final thing of the death. Birth and death are phenomena of the world. Anything that we see will be there for some time and it will get destroyed. Again the new thing starts coming up. If you take a cell in the body, every cell in the body takes birth and stays for a while and dies. Every day in our body, a billion cells get destroyed, a billion cells get created. And if you take one cell, there are such large number of activities going on, 3 trillion activities going on. 1 million is 10 lakhs, 1,000 million is 1 billion, 1,000 billion is 1 trillion. Imagine. 3 trillion activities going on inside the cell. Such weird changes, continuous changes. Very fast changes, very slow changes. There are cells which live long, there are cells which live very short. And within 7 years, our all body cells are completely changed. We are fresh. That ever-changing dimension of the body and ever-changing dimension of the prana. Prana goes on changing and changing and changing. And the mind, thoughts of the thoughts, everything is changing. And the memory, changing. Intellect, changing. And that all 5 koshas are ever changing. Not only the physical body is changing, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha, everything is changing and changing and changing. That's why the Hinayana of the Buddhistic realm, he said, Everything is changing. Kshanikavada. In the world there is nothing that does not change. They said. So the whole creation is nothing but changing and changing and changing. And the further of the Buddhistic concept came up with the Advaita, saying that yes, what you say is true, that's fine, everything is changing, but there is something that is unchanging. That unchanging dimension is our reality. It is the only thing that exists, and all these changes are only appearances. What changes is the Srishti. What does not change is our original state, Atman, the Self, Parama Atman, Atman of all of us, the Self of all of us. And that is the unchanging reality, that is the unchanging pure consciousness, that is the unchanging infinite bliss, that is the unchanging infinite knowledge, that is the unchanging infinite power. And all that comes and goes, doesn't have an existence of its own. Just like shadow comes and goes, shadow doesn't have an existence of its own. Similarly, the Srishti doesn't have an existence of its own. So then what is this which you call as Srishti and the Panchakoshas? They are called Maya. Yama Sa Maya. That which does not exist is what we call Maya. Oh, what are you talking? This doesn't exist. This is so solid, this body, this entire building, the whole physical world doesn't exist. What exists is pure consciousness. And it is the condensation of that pure consciousness that you show up here. A beautiful example is given. You go to a jewelry shop, and there are hundreds and thousands of varieties of jewelry. Today with high technology, you have such millions of varieties that are available today. All everywhere written pure gold, no alteration. You know. So what I do is, I go and pull out the gold from each of these jewelries. Whether the bangle or the necklace or the earring or whatever. From everything I go on removing the gold. What remains? What is it that we call as earring? What is it that we call as bangle? What is it that we call as necklace? Without gold, it has no existence. In the same way, this world has no existence without consciousness. You may call that consciousness as God. You may call it as reality. You may call it as nirvana. You may call it as kaivalya. You may call it as moksha. You may call it as brahma nirvana. You may call it as pure reality. You may call it as pure consciousness. Whatever word you use. It is that which is our original source. That's our original home. That's our real home. What you see here is only coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. Agamapainaha tam titikshasva bharata, says Krishna. Therefore, this understanding is the dimension that comes up in the Jnana Yoga. For that, what is to be done? You must hear Shravana, or you must read, watch a video, by which you get the knowledge. Then you get doubts, manana, go on thinking about it. You are not going to accept things as they are. But a scientist, a brain researcher will tell there is something like mind, according to Upanishad, which can exist without the brain. You will say, nonsense, what are you talking? How can mind exist without the brain? Not possible. So, you need not accept what has been told. Then Upanishad is very, very open. It says, okay, start doing the experiment, nididhyasana. You don't have to accept as a blind faith. Because it's not in the Upanishads, it has been told in the Vedas, you don't have to accept, you do the experiment yourself. Every student has to do this experiment called nididhyasana or tapas. And the result of the tapas is a revelation, which we call as realization or jnana. Yes, there can be existence without the body. What is the proof? So when you get such wonderful results as we have seen in the rebirth, there are nearly 3,000 cases of rebirth in which people have been able to tell the past life which have been verified to be correct. A person born in, say, Calcutta, he tells in my last birth I was in Jammu, and my father was so-and-so, mother was so-and-so, and the atmosphere, everything he will describe. The scientists completely will document this and go to Jammu and find out whether it's true and where it happened and bring the connection. They will get more information from there and ask whether do you remember some of these things? Yes, they will. There are cases in which there are birthmarks. A person died in a particular instance in which there was burning that took place in the hand. In the next birth, that has come as a birthmark. A person born in Nagpur, she, on a particular day, she remembers all her past and starts speaking in Bengali and wants to eat fish and starts remembering all her parents. Became a big menace. All these things have been documented. 3,000 cases, which show clearly that there is the rebirth. What is that? How does that happen? Another proof is that prodigies, young boy, young girl, beautiful singing, all musical branches. How did that happen? It cannot just be an accident. All these things go to show that there is continuity of life. We die, and after we die, there is something that exists. And then we are going to come back. According to Upanishads, what dies is only the physical body, Annamaya Kosha. But the other layers, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanandamaya Koshas remain there. All your personality traits are hidden there as vasanas, samskaras. And when you come back, you get back another life in which the continuity takes place. This is the question asked in Kathopanishad. Nachiketa, the young lad, asked Yamadharmaraja. Some people say when we die everything is gone. Some people say no, there is something that exists when you come back. Yeyam prete vijikitsa manushe astityekena vastiti jaike edad vidyam anushishtastvayaham Varanamesha Parastrutiyaha. I am asking you the third boon. Please tell me, O God of death, whether something exists when I die. Some people say it doesn't exist, some people say yes. And that answer that Yamadharmaraja gives in the wonderful Kathopanishad, a beautiful thing, put out in a wonderful form of dialogue. What is the gist? Yes.